The Republican Party choosing Paul Ryan to become the next Speaker of the House, as the House today approved a 2-year budget debt limit plan. Our next guest voted no on the budget deal, but plans to support Ryan in the floor vote tomorrow. Joining us tonight, Congressman Jim Jordan. He's chairman of the Freedom Caucus. He serves on the Judiciary Committee, Oversight and Government Reform, as well as the Select Committee on Benghazi. Congressman, good to have you with us.
Good to be with you.
You all are moving pretty fast.
Yeah.
You're going to have a speaker tomorrow. That vote is assured. You've got a budget deal that you didn't support, but it was negotiated with the Obama administration and presented effectively as a fait accompli. Is that a fair characterization?
Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that it was a terrible deal. I mean, $1.5 trillion in new borrowing authority, increasing spending by $80 billion, saying it's paid for, but saying it's paid for in Washington means it's paid for in years 8, 9, and 10. You spend it now, right, pay for it down the road. So this was what Americans hate about Washington. And it's got to change going forward. We think Paul Ryan is going to help us change that. But yeah, this was a terrible deal today and not a win for the taxpayer in any way.
Yet so many of your colleagues went along with this, knowing full well it was a fictional document and that it is the pay-fors are the same nonsense as previous pay-fors.
Yeah.
And at the same time, knowing that an $80 billion, and I love this language, talking earlier about this with Mike Emanuel, a cap adjustment. You mean blowing the lid off the cap and
right,
busting sequester.
Yeah, right. We had set spending caps in place just 2 years ago. We busted those, but we say, oh, but we'll cover those. We'll pay for them in years 8, 9, and 10. Well, they'll be around. Some people are going to try to bust those caps in 2 years from now. So, yeah, it was a bad deal. But understand this: 165 Republicans voted against it. Again, right, this is a problem. This is why leadership needs to change in the House of Representatives. You can't have your leadership always going to the Democrats, bringing a bill to us at the last minute. We got this bill at 11 o'clock on Monday night, voted on it today. This kind of a bill of this magnitude, and you get a real debate for a day and a half. Come on, that's got to change. Paul's committed to changing that kind of procedure, that kind of process.
But he went along. Important. But he went along with this one.
Yeah, but he also criticized this process and said it was terrible because it was terrible.
Criticizing it, is that the same as changing it? Do you think he will absolutely not participate in such shenanigans as Speaker?
We have to change it. The American people are demanding we change it. 60% of our voters think we've betrayed them. And there's a group in Congress called the House Freedom Caucus who's going to be politely encouraging Mr. Ryan to make sure we change that kind of process. I think he wants to do that. I think deep down Paul's a good conservative, and he's a great messenger for those big ideas that we need to get put into action and fix this problem here.
You do think he's a conservative?
I sure do, yeah.
As you know, some of his grading by conservative groups is in conflict with that assessment, but there it is. Let me turn to one thing and compliment you on your questioning and your probing in the Benghazi Select Committee of Mrs. Clinton. I thought you went to the exact point, and no one made it clearer than you that she had spoken quite differently to the American people than to Egyptian and Libyan officials and to her own daughter.
Yeah, well, thank you, but you're exactly right. You can't say one thing in private. You can't tell the truth in private and then tell the American people, the taxpayers, the people you're supposed to be working for, a completely different story. She did, in fact, do that. I think she did it because they were 56 days away from an election. Their whole campaign theme, or a big part of their campaign theme, was bin Laden is dead, GM's alive, and Al-Qaeda's on the run. And they couldn't have a terrorist attack happen that soon prior to an election, particularly in the country that was supposed to be their shining example of success in their foreign policy, the country of Libya. So they had real problems, and I think they made the calculation, we can live with this whole video-inspired protest turning into an attack. That's one thing, but a plain old terrorist attack, a terrible terrorist attack, that's a different story. And so they tried to spin it and tell the American people something that wasn't accurate.
Congressman Jim Jordan, good to have you with us as always. Thanks.
Good to be with you, Lou.